Hey guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing what I believe is my 5-week pregnancy update. You won't be seeing this for a few weeks still, but today is September 12th, 2016. That is when I'm recording this. And despite, still being very early on in my pregnancy and doing my first vlog not too very long ago, I have quite a few things to update on, so let's just get to it. The first thing that happened to me this week is I was in the ER on Friday. Today is Monday night, and back on Friday I was in the ER for 7 hours. Yes, so it is happening early this time. Back when I was pregnant with my son, in case you don't know, I was hospitalized twice. I didn't have to go to the ER, but I was hospitalized twice. I was in labor and delivery both times at 26 weeks and then again at 35 weeks. But all right, so let me tell you why all of that happened. Okay, so back on Wednesday last week, I decided to make an appointment with a doctor to start my prenatal care and all that stuff. And they said that they couldn't get me in until I was 11 weeks along, which didn't really sit very well with me, but there wasn't really anything that I could do. This is a new doctor. I don't think I've told you guys yet in present time, but I'm sure by the time you are actually seeing this, we're moving, and we're moving far away, not that far away, but a little bit, right around an hour away from where we are now. So I'm going to need a new doctor, and we're going to be delivering at a different hospital. So I did a lot of research online trying to figure out what the best hospital was down by where we're moving and the best doctors. And the practice that I found had very good ratings. So I do want to go with them, I think. I haven't obviously met them yet, but from everything that I've read, they seem to be the best in the area. But they won't see me till 11 weeks, which really didn't sit well with me. So because I had all these issues with my blood pressure last time, it spiked when I was 26 weeks, and then by the time I was 36 weeks, medicine stopped working, which is when I delivered my son. And then ever since then, or up until April, I've been on blood pressure medication. So I haven't been on it for the last few months, but I decided to check my blood pressure with my home monitor just to kind of see where I'm at. And it was elevated. And I took it a couple of times that day, and every single time it was right about the same. I was even, just trying to chill out on my bed and just, relax. I did that for at least 15 minutes, make sure that nothing was stressing me out, that my son was off in his room playing by himself. He wasn't bothering me, just so I could try and get a true reading. And it was still high. It came down a little bit, but it was still very high. So I was definitely nervous about that. That was, kind of frightening. So then the next day I tried calling the doctor back, and by the time I got to them, I called them in the middle of the afternoon. They were already closed. So then I called them on Friday, and they said, yep, okay, this is kind of a big deal. We can't get you in today. And again, they are about an hour away from me, so it would be hard for me to just, drop everything and drive all the way down there. But if I needed to, I would. But they weren't going to be able to get me in at that day. So they said for me at this time, the best bet would be to contact my primary care physician and try and get in and try and get them to give me a prescription. So I ended up calling them, and they wouldn't just give me a prescription on the phone. They needed me to come in, but they couldn't see me until next week. The whole point of me calling was just to get the medication and to get it like that very day, because I really did need it. So anyways, I called the OB back, and by that time they had been closed for the day. They closed early on Friday. So then the actual doctor called me back, and I had a little bit of a conversation with her, and she was very concerned. And she said basically what I needed to do was to just go to the ER and get this taken care of, get the medication that I needed, and make sure that everything is under control. So unfortunately, that is what had to happen. So that's what I did. I drove myself down to the ER, and oh my gosh, it was horrible. I had to wait for over an hour to be seen by a doctor. There was quite a few people there on that Friday afternoon, and I developed the worst headache that I've ever had in my life. One of the worst headaches, anyways, of my entire life while I was sitting there. I felt okay when I got there, and I was sitting there in after I had registered for about 15 minutes, and then they took my blood pressure, and it was elevated. It was reading just about what it had been at my house. And then after that, I got this horrible headache. Like, it was just right from like the top of my head here all the way down to like below my eye. It was, oh my gosh, I'm getting like chills just thinking about how horrible it was. I was almost in tears crying because it hurt so bad. But have you guys ever heard of this trick? It actually really did work. This is totally a side note, but if you take your hand, if you have a really bad headache, try this. Take your hand, hold it like this, and then squeeze really hard in between your forefinger and your thumb, as hard as you can. And it doesn't help right away, but give it a few minutes, maybe like 10 minutes, and you will start to feel better. I didn't didn't remember that right away, so I suffered for a really long time, but then I started squeezing the hell out of my my hand here. Sorry for the language, but I was squeezing really as hard as I could, and it really did help. And by the time I got in, I did ask for some Tylenol, and that kind of knocked everything out. So I was very thankful for that. But again, if you ever get a really bad headache, you know, natural way to try and treat it is, you know, by the pressure point right there. Anyways, I finally did get back to a room, and they started, you know, taking my blood pressure, and they drew a bunch of blood from me, and they like hooked me up to those heart monitor things. At one point they gave me like an EKG reading. I don't even think I know what the outcome of that was, but I would assume it was just fine. I did have to give some urine, and they actually found that I had a UTI. So I guess it's a good thing that I went in so I could get that taken care of. I had no idea. And I remember when I was pregnant before, I had gotten at least one, maybe two UTIs, and I didn't know that either. And I guess when you're pregnant, like UTIs kind of have a whole bunch of different symptoms than when you're not pregnant. That's what I remember hearing when I was pregnant before anyways. So that kind of took me by surprise, but I guess, you know, I'm glad that I went in so that I could get that treated. So I did get some antibiotics to get that taken care of. And then it was just a lot of sitting around, a lot of just blood pressure readings. And at one point though, kind of the highlight of the experience, if you will, is I did get to go to an ultrasound. And that day, based on what my last period was, I believe I should have been 5 weeks and 6 days. I thought I was only going to be exactly 5 weeks, but I was measuring 5 weeks and 2 days. The ultrasound tech seemed a little concerned by that, but I wasn't, because I really do think that I ovulated late. And based on when I thought how far along I would be, I was actually a little bit ahead of that. But let me go get the ultrasound, because she did manage to print me off a picture. I had asked her for one, you know, right at the very end of her looking at everything. I said, oh, would you be able to print me off a picture? And she said, well, unfortunately, people that come through the ER, we're not allowed to print pictures for them. And then she's like, oh, sorry, darn it, I accidentally hit print. So that was really nice of her, you know, that she accidentally gave me a picture. But let me go ahead and grab that so I can show you. So this is the little ultrasound picture that I got, baby's very first picture. He is that teeny tiny little black dot right here. I think it's the yolk sac is what all we're really able to see. I could be wrong, but I think that might be what that is. And I Googled it, of course, because I Google everything, wanting to make sure that other 5-week and 2-day ultrasounds looked similar to this, and they do. So I think it's fine. Again, I think she was a little concerned because based on when my last period was, I was 4 days behind. But I think, you know, again, as I've mentioned a billion times, I ovulated late. So I am pretty happy with that. And when I go back to the doctor, because I do need to follow up. So instead of waiting until 11 weeks to see them, I called them again today, because the ER doctor told me that I needed to follow up immediately, basically sometime this week with my OB. So I'm hopefully going to be going in on Thursday to get everything checked out again, and I'm sure they're going to give me another ultrasound to make sure that the baby is growing. But yeah, so that is the whole conundrum, everything, all the drama that happened with me in my pregnancy so far. And then let me talk about a couple of the other things that I wanted to hit on. Symptoms. I'm definitely feeling symptoms now. One of the big ones is nausea. I don't know that I threw up this week, and I don't think I mentioned it in my last update, but I have thrown up a couple of times, but it has been at least since like Thursday, I think, that I have thrown up. So that's good, but I have gotten these really long bouts of nausea. They just kind of come on very suddenly, and they've been lasting for a really long time. And just like when I'm nauseous, nothing sounds good to me. Like all kinds of food just sounds so disgusting. I don't want to think about food when I'm nauseous. I don't want to eat anything, nothing. But the only thing that has kind of really helped is caffeine-free Coke. The bubbles really kind of seem to help my stomach settle down a little bit. So I have been drinking a lot of that, which I don't like to do. I mentioned before, I do drink a lot of pop, but I try to only maybe drink 2 a day at most. But lately I have been drinking more. At least it's the caffeine free, right? And it does really settle my stomach down, so that's a plus. And then my boobs are still really sore. The other day when I was in the shower, oh my gosh, it was so painful. Like all the water hitting them. Oh my gosh, that was the worst. And I do still have to keep a bra on at all times. I cannot go braless at all. And then one thing that I've noticed that's popped up just in the last few days is all of this acne. And I do remember when I was pregnant before, I did get some acne on my chest and on my butt. I haven't noticed acne in either place this time, but I've just been getting it all down here on my chin. And I've got about 7, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I tried to cover them up, but I've got about 7 in, like right in this area. It's kind of disgusting, but that's definitely a pregnancy symptom. Usually when I'm PMSing, I'll get them like along my jawline, but to have them all the way down here is very strange for me. So definitely going to think that that is pregnancy related. And then just in general, I have been very tired. But oh, I didn't even tell you, I am on the new medication. They decided to put me on the new medication because, oh, and I totally like completely forgot a whole part of the ER story. So as I was waiting there, after I gotten the ultrasound and I was just been kind of sitting there for a long time, my blood pressure normalized. It completely went down to normal. So strange. So they were a little like, I don't know, they were baffled by what was going on, but it was basically normal. So then the ER doctor talked to an OBGYN, and even though it was normal at that point, because of the history that I had and it was high when I first got there, they did decide to put me on the labetalol, which is what I was on when I was pregnant before. And while labetalol is the safest drug that you could take for blood pressure while you're pregnant, there are some side effects. It's made me very, very tired, even more tired I think than I would usually be being pregnant. And it's made my scalp very tingly. It's a very strange sensation, and it's kind of eased up today, so I think I'm kind of getting used to the medication. But for the last few days while I've been taking it, and it's not like a constant thing, but every few minutes I'll get like a little like second or two of tingling like all over my scalp. Very, very strange. But like I said, today it really hasn't happened, thank goodness, because it doesn't hurt. It's just kind of annoying and distracting. So that's been going on, and I'm assuming that I will have to be on the labetalol then my entire pregnancy until I give birth, and then probably for a little bit after I give birth as well. But so let's see. Oh, another side effect, I have two more written down here. I've had a sore back, both on the top of my back and the bottom of my back. So that is just a joy. And then tonight I actually noticed heartburn for the first time. So that's also very fun. And I did have to Google it just to make sure that Tums were still considered safe for pregnancy. And as far as what I read, they are. I do remember taking them with Harry, but that was 5 years ago. So I Googled it and it seemed like it would be just fine. And then let's see, cravings. Those are always fun to talk about. The first thing that I was really craving was avocado. Avocado anything. I had avocado toast the other day. I had to, that same night I had to go and get Chipotle so I could get some guacamole. I just, anything avocado sounded really, really good to me the other day. Today, honestly, not so much. But the last couple of days, and this is the funniest craving that I think I could probably have, one of the funniest anyways, is ice cream, because ever since I was pregnant with Harry, I've really kind of had an aversion to ice cream almost. Not quite, it's not like I haven't eaten it at all since I've been pregnant, but I remember just thinking ice cream just did not sound good to me at all when I was pregnant, and I've kind of just carried that over into my non-pregnant life ever since. I used to really like ice cream, but for the last 5 years I could walk past the ice cream aisle like 1,000 times and not be tempted to buy anything in that case. Like, it's just not something that I'm looking for or like really ever wanting. We did have Dairy Queen a couple of weeks ago, but that was probably the first time I had like an actual blizzard since before I was pregnant. Like, I'm not even joking. I just have not been an ice cream person, but the last few days, that's like the only thing that I've wanted to eat is more specifically Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream. That is like a heaven on earth to me right now. That sounds so good. That's basically what I had for dinner tonight. I bought one of those, pints of Ben & Jerry's, and I ate half of it. And I cannot tell you the last time that I had that much ice cream in one sitting. Yeah, but I could have eaten like the whole thing easily. It just was so delicious, but I stopped myself. But yeah, so that is definitely like my strongest craving. First one was avocado, and then now the ice cream. And I have a feeling that is going to last the entire pregnancy because it just sounds so, so good to me still. And then as far as aversions go, I don't really have anything specific, but I think I mentioned earlier that when I'm nauseous, like really nothing sounds good to me at all. So basically I have an aversion to everything when I'm nauseous, but nothing specific. I remember when I was pregnant with Harry, I had a really big aversion to pizza and salad early on in my pregnancy, and then kind of throughout the entire pregnancy, I just could not even stand the thought of fried food, like anything fried. And I don't eat fried food hardly ever, maybe once in like every 10 years I'll have like a fried chicken, but that's not really something that I ever eat. But just the thought of anything fried really, really grossed me out back then. But like I said, so far nothing specific that I have. But yeah, and then just a couple other things that I wanted to touch on. Hopefully this video won't end up being too long. I apologize if it is, and hopefully going forward they won't all be this long, all of my updates. But I did purchase a few things, nothing specifically baby related, but pregnancy related. The first thing I got was the What to Expect When You're Expecting book. This is the 5th edition, which is the newest one. I will have it linked down below in case you are interested. If you're pregnant and you want to go check this book out. I did have the updated version from back when I was pregnant with Harry, and I'm sure that one would be just fine. I don't think information really changed that much in the last 5 years, but I just went ahead and ordered this new version. And then I also ordered, I'm so excited for this, this is the Belly book, which is like a pregnancy scrapbook kind of thing. I had this when I was pregnant with Harry as well. And again, I will have this link down below. It's such a fun book. They have tons of these on Amazon right now, different kinds of pregnancy scrapbooks. But this one, I had to order this one again. It's really the best, I thought. I looked at all the inside of the pages that I could see for all the different books, and I don't know, I just really, really loved this one. And unfortunately, this one is not sold on Amazon anymore. I believe I bought this one on Target. So like I said, I will have a link to it down below so you can go get it if you'd like. But it's super, super cute. I'll just kind of try and breeze through this, but they've got sections for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd trimesters, and then there's different pages for every single week, so you can put a picture and talk a little bit about each week. There's places for different doctor's appointments, and of course for the whole birth thing that happens at the end of pregnancy. But I love this book. I think it's amazing. The author is Amy Krause Rosenthal. It's old. I think this book is about 10 years old now, but like I said, I went through all the other ones that they have on Amazon currently, and I just didn't think anything looked as fun or as informative and with enough space to write all the stuff that I wanted to write as this one does. So I went back to my old trusty Belly book. I love it. And then, oh, I did want to show you these too. These are my Citrinatal Assure prenatal vitamins. The doctor, the OB actually did call this in for me, so I'm very happy about that. I really enjoyed taking these prenatal vitamins last time. They have a stool softener built into the pills, which when you get further along in your pregnancy, that is very important. So that's why I like these so much. And this actually cost me so much money. These were 50 bucks for 1 month supply. I didn't realize that they were going to be that expensive. I want to say back when I was pregnant with Harry, these cost me maybe 30. So they've gone up quite a bit. Definitely could be something to do with our insurance, I don't know. But you can qualify or sign up for like a discount card through their website. So just Google Citrinatal Assure and you can get like a $25 discount every single time you go and refill. So these will now cost me $25, which is way better than 50. But I do really like these. I think the stool softener, like I said, was very, very necessary for me when I was pregnant before. So I'm excited to start on these again. Then just one last thing that I kind of wanted to touch on. I promise this is the last thing. And if you're in the Chicagoland area, I would love to get feedback on this or recommendations if you have been pregnant and you've done this before. But I think I am curious, and I'm definitely going to be looking into it a little bit, but doing placenta encapsulation, which if you don't know what that is, basically after you give birth, you don't throw away your placenta. They can hold it for you and somebody comes and takes it for you, and then they take it home and they dry it out, and then they chop it all up and grind it all up into a little powder and put it into pills, and then they give those back to the mother, and the mother can take the pills, and it's supposed to help if you're breastfeeding to produce more milk. It's also just supposed to help with your general overall feeling. It's supposed to aid in recovery time and make everything just kind of go back to normal a little bit faster. Helps with postpartum depression, you know, a whole bunch of different benefits. It is unproven, and some people say that it has absolutely no effect, but I would be curious about it because I did definitely suffer from some postpartum depression, and I suffered for a really long time, and I never got help for it because I was depressed and I didn't want to go get help for it, even though I really should have. But anyways, if you're in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, and you've done placenta encapsulation, let me know either in a comment below, or you feel free to private message me who you went through. We are going to be on the in the south suburbs of Chicago. So if you know anybody that will go to any of those hospitals down there, I would be very, very thankful, because I did do a little bit of research, but I don't know that I found anybody that specifically works down in that area. Most everybody that I found was based like actually in the city of Chicago. So I don't think I really could find if they would be willing to travel I don't know, but I would love to hear some recommendations if you guys have any. But I think that's it. Again, I'm sorry that this video is going to be so long, but I just got a lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. We can also connect on Instagram, of course. My link will be listed below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!